Everyone knows Mount Everest. It's the tallest mountain on Earth, the big one. People train for years, spend a fortune, and risk their lives just to stand on its summit. It's the mountain of dreams, and sometimes, nightmares. But here's something you might not know. Everest isn't the most dangerous mountain out there. That title belongs to a lesser-known beast, Annapurna. It's not as tall. In fact, it's almost 800 meters shorter than Everest, but it's far deadlier. Climbing Annapurna is like rolling the dice with your life. For every 7 people who make it to the top, 1 doesn't come back down. That's not just scary, that's brutal. Compared to Everest, where the odds of dying are closer to 1 in 38, Annapurna makes even seasoned climbers nervous. And yet, it doesn't get nearly the same attention. No glossy documentaries, no long lines at base camp, just silence. Danger. This story isn't about the tallest mountain, it's about the deadliest. A mountain that punishes mistakes, ignores experience, and plays by its own rules. So if you think Everest is the ultimate challenge, think again. Let's talk about Annapurna. Climbing any mountain is hard, but Annapurna? That's something else entirely. You're not just fighting exhaustion or cold, you're battling fear, real bone-deep fear. Because up there, things can go wrong fast, and when they do, there's no second chance. Avalanches are the biggest threat. They're sudden, brutal, and often impossible to avoid. Climbers on Annapurna don't just worry about slipping or getting tired. They worry about being buried alive in snow they never saw coming. Imagine this. You're camped out on a steep slope. It's the middle of the night. The wind howls, the snow shifts. You hear a low rumble and your stomach drops. Is it thunder? Or is it an avalanche heading your way? Even if nothing happens, the stress eats at you, day after day, night after night. That kind of pressure wears you down. And it's not just the fear, it's the isolation. Annapurna doesn't attract big crowds. There's no traffic jam of climbers like on Everest. Some days, you might be the only team on the entire mountain. If something goes wrong, help is far away. Helicopters might not reach you. There are no long lines of Sherpas ready to carry you down. It's just you, your team, and the mountain. Many climbers who've stood on Everest say Annapurna is in a different league. Everest is busy, cold, exhausting. But you've got support. On Annapurna, it's just raw risk. That's why even experienced climbers get nervous. You have to trust your instincts, know when to push forward, and more importantly, when to turn back. Because Annapurna doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care how strong you are. It just waits, quiet, unpredictable, and deadly. And that silence, that's what makes it so terrifying. So, what exactly makes Annapurna more dangerous than Everest? Now, start with a real story, because numbers only go so far. In 1996, a deadly storm on Everest killed 8 people in a single day. It became world famous. Books, movies, documentaries, you name it. One of the heroes of that disaster was Anatoly Bukrev, a strong, experienced climber who helped save others. Just 1 year later, in 1997, Bukrev died on Annapurna, swept away by an avalanche. Same Himalayas, same man. But this time, even he couldn't beat the odds. That's Annapurna for you. If we take a look at the numbers, they confirm that Annapurna is something else. Everest has been summited over 12,000 times. Annapurna? Just over 500. That alone tells you something. People simply don't climb it as often. And there's a reason for that. The fatality rate on Annapurna is about 14%. That means for every 7 people who reach the top, 1 doesn't make it back. On Everest, that number is closer to 2.6%, about 1 in 38. That's still risky, sure, but Annapurna is in a league of its own. And it's not just the stats. It's how those stats came to be. First, the terrain. Everest is tough, no question. You've got the Khumbu icefall, long glacier crossings, brutal altitude, but most people follow well-established routes. There are fixed ropes, ladders, experienced guides. Thousands have done it before. You kinda know what you're walking into. Annapurna doesn't give you that comfort. The standard route is a steep technical climb. It involves ice, rock, and snow, often all at once. You deal with overhanging ice blocks called seracs, which can fall without warning. There's constant danger of avalanches, and it's not just one spot. Almost every section of the route is exposed. Climbers often say there's no safe place to camp on Annapurna. Even at rest, you're not really safe. And it's not just technical, it's unpredictable. You have to route find, adjust on the fly, and accept that some risks can't be managed. One wrong move or unlucky moment, and it's over, no matter how skilled you are. Now let's talk weather. Both mountains deal with Himalayan weather, which means it's harsh no matter what. But Everest's climbing season is more predictable. Most climbers aim for May, when the jet stream shifts and conditions calm for a short while. Annapurna, it's a guessing game. Storms form quickly. Forecasts aren't always reliable. A blue sky in the morning can turn into a blizzard by evening. And when fresh snow hits steep slopes, you know what that means: avalanches. In 2014, a surprise storm slammed into the Annapurna region and killed over 40 trekkers and climbers. Some weren't even on the high mountain. That's how wild and wide-reaching the weather can be. This kind of instability affects everything. Even when the sun is shining, the heat can destabilize snowpacks. That means the safest-looking slope might be the deadliest by afternoon. Everest has its deadly days, of course. Sudden storms, frostbite, altitude sickness. But at least with good planning and the right support, many risks are manageable. On Annapurna, it sometimes doesn't matter how well you planned. The mountain doesn't care. Then there's infrastructure. Everest has become almost commercialized. There are 2 big base camps, stocked with gear, food, and support teams. Helicopters can reach high up the mountain. There's even a seasonal medical tent at base camp. If you get into trouble, there's usually help, maybe even a rescue flight if weather allows. Annapurna is way more remote. Fewer climbers mean fewer resources. You might be the only team on the mountain. There's no full-time medical station. And helicopters, they can only come if weather is perfect. And even then, they may not get high enough in time. In 2019, climber Wee Kin Chin collapsed near the summit. His team had to descend without him. It took nearly 2 days for rescuers to reach him, and he died shortly after being airlifted. Not because he made a mistake, not because he gave up, but because Annapurna is just that unforgiving. That's another thing. Everest now attracts all kinds of climbers. Some are highly skilled, others are first-timers with a big wallet and a strong guide. That's part of why Everest gets crowded. Annapurna still keeps its gate closed to most. It's not beginner-friendly, it's not even intermediate-friendly. You don't go to Annapurna to check a box. You go because you're chasing something harder, riskier, maybe even something a little insane. It's also more mentally draining. The stress of knowing an avalanche could happen at any moment wears people down. Days feel like weeks, decisions become harder, and once fatigue sets in, mistakes start happening. Even the approach feels different. Everest might be a long trek, but it's well-traveled. On Annapurna, you're stepping into the unknown. No crowds, no guide ropes around every bend, just you, your team, and whatever the mountain throws your way. So, when climbers compare the two, here's the real difference. Everest is about pushing yourself to new heights. Annapurna is about surviving them. It's the mountain that doesn't care how famous you are. It doesn't care how many summits you've got under your belt. It just waits, silent, dangerous, and always one bad decision away from disaster. That's why Annapurna doesn't just test your strength, it tests your judgment, your timing, your luck, and maybe even your limits as a human being. Some of the best climbers in the world have died there, because this mountain doesn't care how good you are. Meanwhile, Everest keeps drawing big crowds and bigger dreams. It's the world's highest selfie spot, but Annapurna, it stays quiet and deadly. In the end, the tallest mountain isn't the most dangerous. That title belongs to Annapurna, a mountain that doesn't just test your skill, but your survival instinct, where success isn't about reaching the top. It's about making it home.